And welcome to Hero Power. This is episode 295, and I am your host, Avanties. And as always, I'm joined by my co-host, Zerotio.
What is up, gang? We're not dead.
Woohoo! So, long story short, 2 weeks ago, we were like, there's literally nothing to talk about this week. There's no news. There's nothing to play.
And I was having back issues, and I was having trouble sitting at the desk, and
so
we
we're
decided
like,
to skip
we'll
a
take
show.
a week off. It'll be all right. We'll maybe they'll release some patch notes before next week. Needless to say, next week rolls around, still no patch notes, and Zerotio and I are both sick.
Yeah, we both got the vid.
That's right.
Yeah, it hit pretty hard, and I was like, let me get through the hump of this, and then we'll maybe record a late episode Monday or Tuesday, and then you started getting symptoms, and
Monday when we were gonna record, I woke up with no voice, and then Tuesday I just was tired, and that was really the worst of it for me. My symptoms were pretty mild. By Friday, we're recording on Saturday, so by yesterday I was mostly through it and woke up today. I told Zerotio today was the first day I woke up feeling like a normal human being.
Yeah, me too. I feel good. I got a little bit of a cough, but I'll be muting quite a bit today. But other than that, I'm doing really good.
Yeah. So now we have patch notes.
Woke up this morning, my car wouldn't start.
Oh.
So I had to go out this morning. And
now your car has the vid.
Car's got the vid. So, little housekeeping. We will not be doing a show next week.
Correct. I will be out of town for a friend's wedding. So.
Yes, we have friend of the shows, Rad and Squishy Dragon are getting married. Congratulations. Sorry I can't make it out there. Work just too much going on at both my jobs. I can't take the time off. But we wish you best in your nuptials, and I can't wait to hear all the stories of you going to visit them. And I'm sure the wedding is going to be awesome. Two wonderful people.
Yeah, I'm really excited for this one. Two great people who really are made for each other. So
they are. So our few weeks in Hearthstone, I've been playing a lot of Hearthstone because I've been home with the vid, but I haven't been able to play any good Hearthstone. I get in kind of these streaks of wins and losses because I can't keep focus. Playing a lot of Mercenaries.
Yeah.
Because I can kind of do that in bed and not have to think too hard. So I'm playing a lot of Mercenaries. I'm up to like 6,500 PvP ranking, which is pretty good. That's kind of probably Diamond 10 area. Mm-hmm. Once you get there, the 7,500 is more like Diamond 5, and then when you get to 12,000, that's when you're in your legendary type ranks. I'm enjoying Mercenaries more than any mode. I really, really love all the theory crafting and changing a couple teams. You can play a deck and you change a couple cards. It's like teching.
Yeah. And
it doesn't really make the deck feel different. But in Mercenaries, you change one mercenary out in your team and you could totally play it differently. And it beats other certain teams and doesn't beat others. It's a lot of fun.
Well, I have spent the week not playing Hearthstone, not really playing a whole lot of anything Blizzard based. I've actually spent the week playing other card games. So Matt at Arms told us about a game called Cards, Kards. It's a World War II based card game, and it's free to play on Steam, so I checked that out. And then I guess since the last time we recorded, I managed to get my hands on an Xbox Series X, and I have been playing a phenomenal game on the Game Pass called Monster Train. And it is kind of like Slay the Spire. It is a deck building roguelike. And I've been having an absolute blast with that.
Cool. Yeah, I've been playing a game called The Raft.
Okay. Yeah, I'm familiar with that.
It's a survival game. My wife was playing it, and I was like, that looks mind-numbingly cool. and that it's something I can kind of put my headphones on. I love games like Subnautica and No Man's Sky and those type of games. And it's not so much the gameplay.
Yeah.
It has this kind of transient, constant music.
So
that's soothing and calming.
You'll have to tell me more about. I've heard No Man's Sky has changed a lot since its original initial release.
It has.
And it's available right now on the Games Pass. So I could download it and play it on Xbox. You'll have to tell me about it.
I enjoy it.
It might be something I'm interested in checking out.
I kind of beat the story, and I'm kind of in the sandbox part of the game, and it to me, I want a little bit of a story to chase, and I've already beaten No Man's Sky, so
Gotcha.
They haven't changed the story. They've only added new features more to the sandboxy build part of it. But with the raft, it's very simple. You're stuck on a raft, and
what a concept!
You're trying to stay alive, and there's only one bad guy.
Yeah.
It's a shark named Bruce.
Well, wait. I could get how a shark can be a bad guy, but how can a shark named Bruce be a bad guy? Come on. I mean, his name's Bruce.
Shark named Bruce, and he is after you.
Bruce is like the friendliest name ever.
You think so, but this shark definitely has it out for you. And he is definitely the bad guy. No, it's a lot of fun. It like I said, I like those games because they have this like constant soothing music.
Yeah.
And a lot of these have great soundtracks, and they'll go a couple hours without it starting to sound repetitive.
Yeah. Well, that's cool.
When I'm not feeling well, that's what I want. I want something simple and has a little sound to kind of soothe me and calm me down.
Yeah.
But getting into our news,
there's a bit of news.
A lot of Xbox?
Yeah, so I bought an Xbox a couple weeks ago, and not long after, I started to have buyer's remorse. I'm like, okay, so I just, the Xbox Series X is $599 right now, if you can find them. And I was like, that's a lot of money for a console. I ended up getting a bundle, so all in all, out the door, I paid about $740 for mine. And I was like, man, I got home, I started playing it, I'm like, this is fun, but God, all that money I just spent. And then we got breaking news that Microsoft is buying Activision Blizzard for $69 billion. And all of a sudden, my buyer's remorse is gone. It's amazing.
Yeah, it's like they bought it. We have a link in our show notes that is straight to Microsoft's news on news.microsoft.com.
Yeah,
they bought it for $95 per share in an all cash transaction at $68.7 billion.
Yes.
Now, according to this article on Microsoft.com, Bobby Kotick will continue to serve as CEO of Activision Blizzard, and he and his team will maintain their focus on driving efforts to further strengthen the company's culture and accelerate business growth. However, there was a tweet put out by, I think it was Phil Spencer.
Phil Spencer, he's the CEO of Microsoft Gaming.
That he's going to be taking over once the final is the sale is final.
Yes, once everything has been approved and the deal closes, all Blizzard businesses will then report to the CEO of Microsoft Gaming, Phil Spencer. And let me tell you, I have followed Phil's career for the last 20 years. he is a good guy. He's good for gaming, and I'm excited about this deal.
I am too.
I know a lot of the people at Blizzard are really excited about this deal as well.
And I know there's been a little smattering of news about this whole acquisition by Microsoft, and I know Bobby Kotick is going to leave Activision Blizzard for I think a severance total of $300 million.
Yeah, he's getting the golden parachute, but
Which here's my thing on that. I know a lot of people are like, oh, he's going to make so much money. It's not even like he's being punished. I just want him gone.
Yeah, absolutely.
Care if they have to pay him to leave. I want him gone. Whether he makes money or not doesn't matter to me. I want him gone.
Yep.
And sure, he did a lot of really nasty things, and there's legal systems happening, and maybe he'll have to pay down the road once all that finalizes. But the important thing to me is that Bobby Kotick is going to be gone. And we can start rebuilding and healing. And this article, and again, the article will be in our show notes. It's really has some real big highlights of basically strengthening the company and bringing the joy of gaming to more people. The only thing that annoys me is they've highlighted some games here, and they've even talked about them in the articles of Overwatch, Diablo, Call of Duty, World of Warcraft, Candy Crush, and StarCraft. Hearthstone wasn't mentioned once.
Exactly. A lot of people were like, what about Hearthstone? Well, it's there.
60 million players worldwide. I'm sure, yeah, it's part of this sale. I know that. But I'm hoping that Microsoft knows that Hearthstone exists.
Oh, yeah. Yeah, I'm sure they do. I wouldn't worry too much about it.
But when it comes down to it, Hearthstone's probably one of those that wouldn't port over to a console very well.
Well, one of the funniest interactions of this whole Microsoft buying Blizzard thing happened the day it was announced because of time zones. We love time zones. And so Slissa tweets out at Ixar. She's like, hey, Ixar, does this mean I'm going to be able to do Battlegrounds on my Xbox? And he replies, no. And then 3 minutes later, he replies, okay, just saw the news. Maybe? WTF do I know?
It was so funny. He's like, no. And he's like, wait a minute.
And he was so confident in that no. It was great.
And then he's like, I just saw the news. I don't know. Maybe. Which is funny because it sounds like a lot of the Blizzard devs, again, they're segmented into teams, and word of these acquisitions probably don't trickle all the way down to the individual teams until quite a bit on when they're ready to physically move everything. But so that's probably why they don't know. But it's very interesting that somebody like Ixar hadn't even heard when that this was happening.
Yeah.
Or maybe he did this in his inbox and really didn't register, or he didn't think he could talk about it yet. So. All in all, I'm really, really excited to say bye-bye, Bobby.
Absolutely. Bye-bye, Booby, Kotick. Couldn't happen to a nicer jackass.
So the big news, and just to kind of let our viewers know, we're not going to do a play portion this week because there's really not a lot to play, and there's a lot in the patch notes. But before we get to the patch notes, a recent thing that happened was
this is like 3 days old. There's already been another bug since this.
That's also true. But they were trying to grant dust and missing cards kind of discreetly for people that dusted the cards that they ended up getting through that honor track and things like that. And it dusted a lot more than it should have, and actually took away some of your goldens that you got from those rewards. And some people logged in and got I know I got about 8,000 dust.
I got like 5,800.
And I think I logged in a second time and it did it again.
Yeah, I heard that was happening.
And because I think it's because I was home and I do this thing where I log into Hearthstone, then I get out of Hearthstone, then I go open up my BlueStacks, I do my mobile stuff, then I get out of that and I go back into Hearthstone and I do this little song and dance. And then later that day, it was all taken away. Now, if you spent dust that you all of a sudden got, and then the dust was taken away, you could have been reduced down to as much as 0 dust because of what you spent.
Yeah.
Now, if you spent into the negatives, you weren't put into the negative. So you basically got a little dust from that. But there were a lot of people in our community that were complaining, saying, "Hey, I got this dust. I made some goldens, and then I came back and all my dust is gone."
Yeah.
And this is why. There is a really good detailed description of this in a forum post, as well as on the Angry Chicken. Ridiculous Hat goes into a lot of detail. Ultimately, nobody lost anything.
Right.
If you have less, it's because you spent dust you thought you had. You end up not having it. The correct thing to do is just kind of wait to make sure that there's a communication on this, which I didn't spend any dust, so it all kind of came out in the wash for me.
Mm-hmm.
I think I got a little bit of dust because of the dust I was supposed to get, but it wasn't the 8,000 dust. I think I got like an extra 800 or something like that. But that's pretty much it. Now, you said there was another bug. What was that bug?
So, yesterday, after they had fixed the issues with the dust, they went to push out another patch, and everybody was logging in and getting card backs. Congratulations, you've earned this card back that you currently had equipped.
Oh.
And so people were like, "Oh no, are they going to take away my card backs?" But
so
no,
that was just a visual
it was just
bug.
a visual bug. So, but it was funny because again, poor HS Deck Tech getting, because apparently nobody posts bugs to the forum. They post them to HS Deck Tech's Twitter.
Yeah. HS Deck Tech has become the Twitter source to report things. I hate that for him, but to be honest, he reaches out and tells people, "Hey, send me anything you have problems with."
That's very true. He is very good at the communication thing, which Blizzard has been lacking severely for a long time.
So I found out through Nick, HS Deck Tech, a little bit of why that is. And the main reason is Deck Tech and his Twitter and even on the forums, he can post things and write up forum posts and send those out. But the actual team has to meet on it, come to an exact decision and definition of what they want to say, and then translate it into multiple languages before they can put out a blog post that makes the statement.
Right.
So Nick is is the guy that's handling that ahead of time. and
yeah, so he has most of it written up and ready for the team to look at and go from there.
Exactly. Sorry. Cough's getting to me. So he actually is preemptively sending out tweets, writing up forum posts, and then he sends it into the team to meet about it and write blog posts, whatever needs to be done for localization. So the fact that Deck Tech is taking a proactive stance in the community manager position, I think that's I'm not sure if it's community manager or if it's communications manager.
Yeah.
But he's doing a wonderful job. I had the pleasure of meeting Nick at BlizzCon in 2018. If you hadn't heard, I went to BlizzCon in 2018.
What?
We ain't told that joke in a while. And Nick is a wonderful human being. He's very, very intelligent. I think he has a law degree. He's very articulate, and he's perfect for this position. And he's been an asset to Team 5. If you don't follow his Twitter, you should, because he sends out news before anybody else knows about it.
Yeah, absolutely. So,
and the last bit of news is our patch 22.2 is going to roll out on Tuesday, which if you're listening to this on the download,
it's tomorrow.
It's going to be tomorrow.
Yeah. So I'm gonna switch over to our normal, what we normally call our gameplay layout, because if you are following ahead, or if you are following along on the video, we want you guys to be able to see what we are looking at here.
Yes.
So, yeah, patch 22.2.
There's a lot.
There is a lot. And that's why we kind of wanted to go spend the time to deep dive into this and go over it with you. So, all right, let's just kind of jump right in. There's Battlegrounds updates, duels changes, balance changes for standard and wild. There's a new building finally coming to mercenaries, and so much to talk about. So
let's just break it down.
Yeah, so let's start with the standard and wild card updates. So the following cards have been nerfed in power level. They can say adjusted down all they want. It means nerfed.
Yeah.
First up, we've got Shadowcrafter Scabs. His mana cost used to be 7. It's now going to be 8. And the comment here says, Rogue has seen significant increases in play rate and win rate since the last patch, and Scabs is a pretty clear outlier in terms of power. We expect this change to make a fairly large impact in the strength of Rogue archetypes across the board.
Yeah, personally, I've seen Shadowcrafter Scabs as more of a tempo loss when I'm playing against it. Now, I've been playing a lot of combo decks, so I usually have the board clears to deal with the stealth 4/2s, and it's almost like they're skipping a turn, and because I can usually deal with them very easily. But it going to 8 cost is definitely going to slow down rogues. And I don't think it's going to kill rogues. I don't think you disenchant this card. I think it's still very much playable.
Okay.
I think it should have been 8 cost, in my opinion.
All right. Next up, we have the Wild Paw Knoll. So this was a 5 mana 4/5. It's now going to be a 6 mana 3/5. So it's going up in cost and losing 1 attack, but maintaining the health it had. And the comment here states, Wild Paw Knoll was intended to be a strong payoff for Maestra of the Masquerade's fun effect. But it has been overperforming in this role, even in decks that don't have dedicated burgle strategies. We're adjusting Knoll to both come down a bit later as a slightly smaller threat when it does.
Yeah, so people are just putting this in Rogue with like Wand Thief and having it reduced down to like 2 cost or something like that because of them getting the mage cards. So the cost change, I don't think is going to impact it too terribly much. Free ends up being free regardless, especially after a well-timed secret passage. But that being said, the change from 4/5 to 3/5 is going to be a big deal because on the turns it's coming down and rushing in to kill minions, it's killing 3/4s. It won't kill 3/4s now. They'll have to use a combination of their dagger or something else to finish off those 3/4s. And to me, that's the big nerf, is the change from a 4/5 to a 3/5.
Okay. All right. Next up, we have Cloak of Shadows. So this went from being a 3 mana to now a 4 mana spell. And it says, the dev comment here is, we're happy with Poison Rogue when it's a niche player in the metagame, but the current play rate of the archetype is much higher than intended. Cloak of Shadows also combined with Shadowcrafter Scabs for frustrating play experiences. Reducing the power levels of both of these pieces should bring Poison Rogue's overall power level back in line. Do you agree with this assessment, Zerotio?
I agree with their attempt. But this still gets played at 4.
So
because
do you think Poison Rogue is still going to be as oppressive as people feel it is?
I think Poison Rogue's going to be as played and as effective. I mean, maybe slightly, obviously slightly less because of the cards being reduced, but it's still going to be played a lot. And I think it's still going to be effective against the decks that it's currently effective against. Now, I have good success against Poison Rogue, but right now I'm playing OTK Shaman, which is has a freeze variant to it.
Mm-hmm.
And freezing your opponent's face, I mean, that just works.
Okay.
So, obviously, Cloak of Shadows, is a big outlier to stop damage-based or target-based wins. But at the same time, at 4 cost, most of the time it's free anyways because it's being reduced by the weapon, the tradable weapon, or it's being reduced by Shadowcrafter Scabs.
Yeah.
His hero power. It usually ends up being 1 cost or 0 cost anyways. So I think it still gets played. Another one, don't dust it. It's still going to be good in that deck.
Okay. All right. Next up, we see a change to the Warrior quest line, Raid the Docks. So part 2 of the quest line, Create a Distraction, used to say play 2 pirates, reward deal 2 damage to a random enemy twice. It's now going to say play 3 pirates, deal 2 damage to a random enemy twice. So they're increasing the amount of pirates you have to play on part 2 of the quest line to, I guess, kind of try to slow it down just a little bit.
Yeah, this is similar, I think, to what they did. Was it the Shaman quest they added an extra piece to?
Yeah, I believe that's correct.
This is a good change. I think this is one of the most impactful balance changes that you're going to see because I've always thought that it was too easy to do the second part. And this is probably going to delay the quest 1 extra turn, which is just what I feel when I'm playing against Pirate Warrior. I feel like if I had 1 more turn, I'd be fine.
Yeah.
And this gives me that 1 more turn. I think this is a great change. I still think it's going to be playable. But, I mean, they run enough pirates in the deck to do this. You're not going to have to add any more pirates. You usually have an abundance of pirates in that deck, so it's not anything. I think it's going to be fine. That means the total number of pirates you need to play goes from 7 to 8, which is substantial, but I still think it's doable.
Okay. Next up, we have Incanter's Flow. So this went from being a 3-mana spell to a 4-mana spell. And the dev comment is, when combo mages play Incanter's Flow on an early turn, they can assemble their game-winning combo at a very fast rate. Similar to our goals for combo-based decks in the previous patch, pushing Incanter's Flow up a mana will slow down combo mages by a turn or 2, giving slower strategies a better chance to thrive in the overall meta. Do you think this 1 mana difference is going to make a huge difference in the world of mages and Incanter's Flow, Zerotio?
Might I remind you, this used to cost 2.
That's true. So this is the 2nd mana difference buff.
I think this still gets played in Mozaki Mage, and people are still going to hate it. That deck isn't like amazing, But if it gets Incanter's Flow on 3 or even 4, it wins. That's the crux of the deck. It has to have things reduced low enough so that when Mozaki goes off, you don't need a bunch of extra mana.
Okay.
And I think this is the wrong nerf.
Okay.
I think at 3 mana, it's better than when it was at 2. I think they should have nerfed Mana Biscuit.
Oh, okay.
Maybe let Mana Biscuit only give you 1 mana from the reward. I don't know. But I think Mana Biscuit is what makes this.
You think it's the offending card?
In that deck, yes.
Yeah.
Now, in the no Minion Mage, it was Incanter's Flow.
Okay.
But now with the new version that's Mozaki, it's the Mozaki OTK.
Mm-hmm.
Incanter's Flow is pivotal. Don't get me wrong. And honestly, I like that it's going to 4 mana because it will be a little more difficult. But I think they should have nerfed with Incanter's Flow Mana Biscuit.
Okay. All right. Next up, our good old friend, the Sorcerer's Apprentice. This card.
Wait a minute.
It's important to note, this card has been in the game since day 1.
Yeah, since beta.
Yeah.
Alpha.
So, Sorcerer's Apprentice
since then.
used to cost 2 mana. It will now cost 4 mana.
4?
They doubled the cost of this card. Now, this card has been, some people are going to say, oh, but this card's been an issue since the, what was it called? What's the term for the OTK where you just fireball everything. Infinite fireballs.
The Infinite Fireball OTK, the Antonitis OTK.
Yeah, but what's the term?
I don't know.
Oh, damn it. That's going to bug me. If you remember the term they used to call that deck, let me know. Huh?
Let us know. Yeah. Here's the thing. Sorcerer's Apprentice has been, people have constantly said this is the most offensive deck. It needs to be nerfed. Nerf Sorcerer's Apprentice. It was in Freeze Mage. It was in the OTK. It was in the Time Warp OTK deck.
Exodia Mage. That's the word I was looking for.
I hate that deck name because Exodia, it's not even a Hearthstone thing. Anyways, people have been wanting this nerf for years. They finally nerfed her. They took Sorcerer's Apprentice out back and just shot her in the head.
Yeah, pretty much.
This card's dead. In Wild. Obviously, it's not in Standard anymore.
Yeah.
So you can't use this reliably in a combo anymore.
Yeah.
It's gone. Now, was this the problem in Wild? I don't know. I've been out of Wild for a while. Maybe this makes Wild a little more balanced. If you play Wild, we would love your opinions on these Wild balance changes. Definitely tweet us at HeroPower_cast on Twitter, or if you're watching on YouTube, comment below.
Yeah.
Because we would love to have that insight. Obviously, some of the Wild community is going to speak out about this. I haven't heard anything yet. But hopefully, they've been clamoring for balance changes meant just for Wild for a while. And they finally got them, and I want to see how they're taken.
Yeah. All right, that brings us, we've still got one more. No, we got one more nerf, and that's Rapid Fire. So, this used to cost 1. It's now going to cost 2. And it used to be Twin Spell Deal 1. It's now Twin Spell Deal 2.
So this is similar to, what was it? Twin Blade? What was that? Was
Twin Slice?
Twin Slice. Similar to what they did with Twin Slice, where they went up a mana, but they doubled the effect.
Mm-hmm.
And then Twin Slice was amazing. It went from being for 0 mana, you end up getting +2/+2. For 2 mana, you end up getting +4/+4.
Right.
So now you go from 1 mana to do 2 damage to 2 mana to do wait.
So it went from one mana 1 damage to 2 mana 2 damage.
Kinda.
Yeah.
Now it was 2 mana for 2 damage.
Now it's 4 mana for 4 damage. Yeah. Yeah.
Sorry about the cough, guys. So with that in mind, you're actually getting a damage increase, and in the right decks, this can be a buff, like in a spell mage or in whether they're running a variation of the current quest quest hunter. You're doing more damage, which ultimately is going to benefit you more. The mana is a lot. It's important, but at the same time, it's less important when you can clear a 2 health minion, at the cost of 2. So twice because of twins.
Right. So all of the cards we just talked about will be eligible for full dust refund for 2 weeks after the 22.2 patch goes live tomorrow.
Yes.
Now, the following cards have been adjusted up or buffed in power level. We start with Rokara the Valorous. So, used to, she gave 5 armor when you played her. Now you get 10 armor. And the comment is, Rokara is one of the less viable hero cards right now. We want each class to have exciting play options, so we're increasing her armor to give her more leeway in swinging into high-attack minions, and to better synergize with some of Warrior's armor-focused cards. Do you think this makes a difference?
No. It doesn't. Okay. She doesn't fit in Pirate Warrior, because there's really not a turn you want to be doing this. And then, more importantly, there isn't another warrior deck that's viable. Now, we haven't seen the mini set yet.
That's true.
And if the mini set has more armor-based strategies, then maybe there's a new warrior that'll come out of that. But currently, no. That extra 5 armor isn't going to do anything.
Okay. All right. Well, that's the only card that gets buffed in this patch. So let's transition now from.
Well, before we transition, overall take on the balance changes for Constructed. What do you think? Do you think this is going to be impactful? It's going to adjust the meta and allow other decks to kind of rise and some of these top decks to lower down? Or do you think we're still going to have the same decks?
Just based off of what I've seen, we're probably still going to see Rogue. We're probably still going to see Mage. I don't think it's going to have a huge shift in the meta. And it's hard to say if one of the less played classes will rise up out of this until we see it happen, but I don't think, based off of, what we just discussed, I mean, I think you said it best that most of the classes, Rogue and Mage, are still going to be seeing play. So,
yeah, I think so, and I even think Warrior's still going to see a lot of play. I think that we needed a couple more buffs. I would have liked seeing some buffs to some Hunter cards, and maybe some Demon Hunter strategies that don't revolve around OTKs.
Okay.
Maybe to Death Rattle Demon Hunter or things like that. I think if we gotten some buffs to some Hunter cards and buff to some Death Rattle Demon Hunter, synergy cards, then maybe the meta would switch more. But I think this patch is just addressing a couple, things that are needed And then more importantly, it's focusing on other modes like Battlegrounds and Mercenaries and Duels. I think they're expecting the players that are dedicated strictly to Standard and Wild, they're going to keep playing, and these balance changes will vary the play slightly, but not throw it for a loop.
Mm-hmm.
But more importantly, those people that want to switch modes during this kind of lull before the mini set, or that are dedicated to other modes like Battlegrounds, Mercenaries, and Duels, are going to get a lot out of this patch.
Okay.
And I think this patch is primarily meant for Battlegrounds, but other modes are going to get a lot out of this too, as we'll talk about shortly. But honestly, if you're a constructed player, I would take this time to enjoy some of the other modes, maybe, or even take a little break before the mini set, because I don't think this is going to change the meta that much.
I agree.
I mean, I can't wait to see what Zacho and Arhat say about it after the patch and their VS report. That's going to tell me more, but honestly, I don't think there's going to be a big change.
Yeah. All right, let's go talk about some Battlegrounds updates, because
oh my gosh,
this is huge.
It's pretty big.
This may be the biggest announcement to Battlegrounds since they announced Battlegrounds.
Yeah, buddy.
I see what you did there. That's good. So we are getting Battlegrounds Buddies. So what exactly is a Battlegrounds Buddy, Zerotio?
Okay, so the new Battlegrounds Buddies is a new system being added to Battlegrounds. It's going to go live when all these changes happen on the 25th. Now, this isn't one of those that if you have the perks, you get the buddies, and if you don't have the perks, you don't get the... This goes for everybody.
Mm-hmm.
Okay? The new Battlegrounds Buddy system is every battler's better with a buddy, is what it says. In this patch, we'll be introducing a new Battlegrounds Buddy system. A Battlegrounds Buddy is a special minion that's unique to each hero, designed to synergize with that hero's game plan. So, Battlegrounds Buddies are like normal minions, but they can't be bought from the shop. So, instead of buying them from the shop, every hero is going to have a buddy meter. It's going to have 2 halves on it. It shows up as like a yellow half and then kind of like an orangish half. Every hero has a buddy meter that fills up during the combat phase whenever you enter combat, deal damage to enemies, pop divine shields, or win or tie a combat phase. You also get a small bonus each turn for how many minions you have at the start of combat. So those heroes that have, a minion added at the start of combat, or have an extra minion at the beginning of the game, it's going to give you a little bit of a benefit to your Battleground Buddy meter. Buddies are earned at 3 different rates, with those at lower Tavern tiers being earned more quickly than those at higher Tavern tiers, because some heroes have lower Tavern tier buddies and some have higher, like tier 5 buddies. And so they're kind of balancing that out by the stronger ones you get later, and the weaker one, or the lower tier ones, you get faster. Now you'll get a total of 3 of them. When the first half of the meter is filled, you'll get one of the buddies. Then when the second half is filled, you'll get 2 more copies of the same buddy. Each hero has a different buddy, but you only have one buddy, and it synergizes with your hero. So a few different strategies can be talked about here. You can play that first buddy, and then the other 2 buddies. When you get that second meter filled up, you'll get the golden. But if you want those Battlegrounds Buddies individually, you can sell that first one so you have 2 copies of regular versions. So you get the effect twice later.
Right.
With 2 different bodies. So it's really it's probably more beneficial to get the golden because it only takes 1 slot, but ultimately it depends on the buddy. There are 75 different Battlegrounds Buddies, one for each of the heroes.
Yeah, I want to point out that they are temporarily extending hero selection by an additional 10 seconds to allow players to learn the new buddy system.
Yeah, and there's been a lot of really good videos by Slissa, and there's I think an event just happened on the 18th that had some teams come together to test out some of these new buddy systems and stuff like that. I'm really excited for this because I've always kind of dabbled in Battlegrounds, but it's always been kind of the same old thing for me. You kind of play the same style, little different based on the hero, but once you played them all, it's kind of copy paste.
Except it's never the same thing twice.
I don't know. Auto battlers have never really. To me, it seems like the same thing. But with this buddy system, it's got to kind of breathe new life into it. Now, it says the Battleground armor system will be deactivated while we try out the new battle buddy system. As of now, we plan to reactivate the armor system in a later patch once we've reassessed the power levels of the heroes with their new buddies. So basically what they're saying here is they've given armor to some heroes based on the lower the tier hero, the more armor they got, the higher the tier hero, the less armor or no armor they got. They're resetting all of the heroes to 0 armor until they can recreate this tier list based on the buddies. So a 10 armor hero might end up being a 2 armor hero later because it's just gotten that much better because of the buddy system.
Yeah.
The hero selection temporarily extended by 10 seconds, which we talked about. The cost to upgrade to Tavern Tier 5 will be increased by 2 gold. It costs now starts at 11 gold. So evidently they're changing the way Tier 5 is because it's too easy to get to Tier 5. So they're increasing it by 2 gold. That should probably elongate some games. And on January 5th, the current Battleground season will end. Ratings will reset to 0. So when this patch goes live, all ratings are going to be reset to 0. This will be interesting. It's like a new era.
I love resets. It's my favorite time to play.
The thing about this is you're not just resetting the ranking, you're resetting the way everybody plays Battlegrounds. It's almost like a 2.0.
Yeah, it is. It's almost like Battlegrounds 2.0.
And then on top of this, we're getting new heroes.
We are. So let's talk about the first one. We are getting Brucon, and his hero power is Embrace the Elements. So it's going to cost 0, and choose an element. Start of combat, call upon that element. So your options are Fire Invocation, which at the start of combat, double your leftmost minion's attack. Or Lightning Invocation, start of combat, deal 1 damage to 5 random enemy minions. Or Earth Invocation, start of combat, give 4 friendly minions Death Rattle, summon a 1/1 elemental. Or Water Invocation, start of combat, give your rightmost minion +3 health and taunt. I mean, I can see how some of these can be really abused with certain tribes.
The first thing I thought of with Brucon is Dragons and Terragosa.
Oh, wow, yeah.
Because all of these buffs start at start of combat, which means they're temporary.
Yeah.
But Terragosa keeps those permanently. So you could do double your leftmost minion's attack. And so it's going to double it, and then it's going to keep that. And then the Earth Invocation, give it the Death Rattle to summon a 1/1 elemental. It can keep, and it can keep stacking it.
Yes.
Then the Water Invoke, give it +3 health and taunt. You can make it huge, and it gives it taunt.
Yeah.
Dragons with Brucon's gonna be sick.
Like I said, certain tribes, this could be really, really nasty.
I know people are going to say, "Oh, they probably go to elementals." There's really nothing here that synergizes with elementals.
No.
So, Here's the thing. I think for balance, they probably should have made it random.
Yeah,
It gets
instead
one
of
of the four.
you choosing, yeah, it probably should have been
But
random.
you could keep choosing.
Or they make it so that it changes every round, sort of like.
Oh yeah, that too.
Yeah.
I mean, that would be the same as random in a way. You could choose. The problem with random is if you just do it random, then you're not wasting gold because it's zero cost.
Right.
And that's another thing. Zero cost. Oh my gosh. There's no cost to this?
Yeah.
If Divine Shield, if you have a George in your lobby, you're going to want to do the 1 damage to 5 enemy minions to pop those Divine Shields to start a combat.
Mm-hmm.
The flexibility of Brucon, he's going to be a tier 1, maybe even a tier S out the gate.
Yeah.
He's so good.
So, all right, next up we have Drekthar. So, his hero power is Lead the Frost Wolves. Again, costs 0. Choose a friendly minion. It copies the attack of your highest attack minion for the next combat only.
So I'm wondering how this is done, and I keep every time I see any of these temporary buffs, I'm wondering how it works with Terragosa.
Right.
So will this copy? It copies the attack of your high. It copies it. It doesn't add it.
Correct.
So it would only really work well once. But if you had 2 Terragosas, you keep passing the attack back. Well, they'd end up normalizing. I don't know. I'm not sure this is good.
Yeah, I don't know yet.
I think it's bad.
We'll have to see this in action before we can. I'm not ready to say it's bad, because some of the other heroes we've thought were bad in the past, when played correctly, are really well done, really good. So
I'm just trying. The fact that it copies and just doesn't have it added to it, I'm just trying to figure out.
Terragosa is good, but it's not the bar that you should measure everything against.
No. That's true. I'm trying to think of this even outside Terragosa.
Yeah.
Terragosa would be a best case scenario, and I don't even think in that situation it's even that good. I mean, it's good for like 1 turn. That's it.
And then we have, on the opposite side, Vandar Stormpike. And his ability, Lead the Stormpikes, which is cost 0. Choose a friendly minion. It copies the health of your highest health minion for the next combat only. So
this might be a little more useful.
Exact same ability, but it does health instead of attack.
This might be a little more useful for like maybe for the 1/1 poisonous minion. You play it and then it gets more health and might survive to poison more than 1 minion.
Okay.
You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
So this might be a little more useful than the attack. Maybe use it for poisonous or for things that have like Wind Fury, so it might actually be able to get that attack up more often. Plus, you have a lot of minions that scale with attack with health a lot more. You might have really, really large minions like that one demon that gets health based on your damage you've taken.
Mm-hmm.
I think Vandar's effect is better than Drekthar, but it's not, to me, it's not like a tier 1 effect though.
Okay. Then we have Tavish Stormpike, and his ability is Deadeye. Again, costs 0.
Wow.
Take aim. Start of combat, deal 1 damage to your target. Upgrades each turn. Now, there's like Brucon, there's options. So you've got aim left. So passive, start of combat, deal 1 damage to the leftmost minion. Aim low, start of combat, deal 1 damage to the lowest health minion.
Ooh.
Aim high, deal 1 damage to the highest health minion. Or aim right, start of combat, deal 1 damage to the rightmost enemy minion. So
this is cool.
This is a very, very interesting ability, because you're going to have to kind of be able to keep track and know who your next opponent is, what you saw them playing last, and what their board state kind of looked like, so that you can try to make an educated guess at which one of these is going to benefit you the most. Now, granted, most of the time, aim low is probably going to benefit you more, as you can remove a minion right away, and this does upgrade. So, like, first time it'll deal 1, and then next time it'll deal 2, then 3, and as the turns go, it upgrades to do damage.
Yeah, so late game, you might be doing 8, 9, 10 damage, which could just delete a minion.
Correct. But, again, this could also, you could be like, oh, well, I know from the last time I fought this guy, the rightmost minion has Taunt and Divine Shield. I'm going to go ahead and hit it and remove the Divine Shield at the start of combat.
Yeah, and a lot of times they'll put like a Medivh on the far right so it's protected. Well, you could delete a Medivh. Or they'll put their Baron Rivendare on the far right so it's protected. They'll delete the Baron River. Or it might be the lowest health. Maybe they'll have a low health poison minion. You want to delete that minion. This is cool. Again, 0 cost seems like a balancing nightmare. I think it should at least be 1 cost. But you might be able to just win early with this.
Yeah.
My concern with this is longevity. I know it scales up with damage, but it only scales up by turn. And usually by turn 10, you can have minions that are 50 health sometimes. So, and you're only doing 10 damage. So, that might not be that great, but early game, you're probably going to delete minions right out the gate.
Yeah. I like it. I like this hero a lot, and I look forward to trying him out.
I think of these 4 new heroes, my favorite is going to be Brukan. And then followed by Tavish, followed by Drekthar and Vandar.
Okay.
Probably Vandar third, Drekthar fourth. I like Tavish. I think it's cool. But I think that Brukan's more versatile. And Drekthar or Tavish is just all about damage.
Yeah. So all right. So then we got some existing hero updates. And
real quick about the new heroes.
Yeah.
Now these heroes you only have access to on the 25th if you have the Battlegrounds perks.
Yes.
If you don't have the Battlegrounds perks, you'll have to wait until February 8th when they're fully released. So just keep that in mind. If you have the Battlegrounds perks, then no big deal. You can start getting these. If not, you might want to purchase them if you want to try this, or just wait until the 8th.
Yeah, that's very true. All right, so updates to existing heroes. Alex Straza. Odds for tier 6 dragons are no longer reduced.
Ooh.
So that makes her ability a little bit better. Because, when you hit Tavern tier 5, you immediately get to discover 2 dragons.
2 dragons. And they've reduced the odds for Tavern tier 6 because you're not in Tavern tier 6 yet. But I don't know if I've ever seen a Tavern tier 6 dragon from there.
I don't know that I have either.
But now they're going to reduce they're no longer reduced, which means you probably have an even chance. That's huge.
Yeah. So
to me, that's huge change.
Let's talk about this next change. Ysera. So I have stated for a long time now that Ysera was the most broken hero in Battlegrounds.
I mean, the armor system would validate that. Because I think she's a 0 armor.
She is 0 armor, but that has nothing. You could put 100 armor on everybody else. She would still dominate because of her ability. And her ability states every time you refresh Bob's Tavern, add a dragon. So even if you're, there can be times you're playing a hero that is specific to a tribe, and you could never see any of those tribes. But that is not the case with Ysera. You will always see dragons with Ysera, and it will always give you a higher percentage chance to build a stifling dragon build.
So what's the change?
The change now says Bob's Tavern no longer counts as being refreshed at the start of a turn if no new minions are added. So if you freeze a board and
you won't get a dragon.
The next round, it unfreezes and there are no new minions added, you will not automatically get a dragon at the start of the turn. So what you'll have to do is it gives you
freezing is detrimental.
Freezing board is detrimental. So you would then have to go up and spend a gold to refresh to get a dragon added at that point.
So the only benefit, in my opinion, based on this change to freeze a board is if you've gone into a board that
has 2 or 3 dragons you want. Yes.
Yeah. So, okay. So just freezing a board for maybe some other critical minions, knowing that you would get at least a dragon added next turn, that won't happen anymore.
Correct.
That's a good change.
I agree. I think it is.
Will that change be enough to put her more in line?
I don't know.
Because to me, this seems like a very.
I still think Ysera is ridiculously strong.
Oh, this next one.
Yeah. So George the Fallen, his hero power will now read, give a minion divine shield. So the developer note here is this allows you to target shop minions as well as your minions. Because I think previously it read, give a friendly minion divine shield.
Why is giving a shop minion divine shield beneficial?
Okay, so hear me out. You are going through your turn. You buy a minion. You've got 2 mana left. You know there's a minion in Bob's shop that you want to buy.
Okay.
You're going to freeze the board to buy it next turn. Why not go ahead and use your remaining 2 gold to give that minion divine shield now? And then when you buy it next turn, you immediately play it. It already has it, and you don't have to spend that gold later.
Interesting. Okay. Also, if you give a minion that you're buying from the tavern divine shield, and the other copies you have maybe in your hand don't have divine shield, obviously, because they're in your hand, and you buy it and it turns golden, it will have divine shield. Not that that's very
right.
That's kind of a niche. Most of the time you'd have one of those minions in play. I don't know. It's, to me, I don't see a lot of huge benefit in it, but it might.
I think the big thing is it allows you to pre-plan and on the best way to spend your gold, so you're not tipping Bob too much.
That's
because
fair.
tipping Bob is a bad thing, and it seems to happen a lot with George.
It does, because you're all out of minions to divine shield. Yeah, that makes sense. Also, Kel'Thas, Silas Darkmoon, and Shambhala are going to be temporarily disabled starting patch 22.2 while they address some bugs they found late in testing. They will be added back into the hero pool in a future update. So obviously there's something either with the buddies or something else that has broken them that they're going to fix.
Yeah.
They just, instead of delaying the patch, they'll just pull these out temporarily. They've done that before. It's worked out. There is one minion update, a Nylon Battlemaster. The text now reads, Battlecry, gain +1 health for each health your hero is missing. The note here is the text change more accurately describes how the card currently works, specifically in games where the hero had armor at some point. This is not a functional change to the card. So nothing's really changing.
They're just rewording it.
Rewording it because people were thinking that the armor you lost was counting towards the health, and that's not true.
Yeah.
It's only for what you're missing in health, not on armor.
Correct. So,
how much damage you've taken.
yeah. So that pretty much wraps up our Battlegrounds changes. Now let's talk about
That's a lot. That's a lot.
that
changes.
that was a lot. And I'm looking forward to playing some of these new heroes. I really am. So
to I kind of wish I was sick next week instead of this past week. So. But, oh well, it is what it is.
All right, let's talk about upcoming updates to the Mercenaries, and specifically a village update.
Before we get into the Mercenaries update, have you been playing or at least upkeeping with your Mercenaries?
I have not. I probably have not touched my Mercenaries since sometime in mid-December.
So Mercenaries is probably the only Hearthstone content I diligently do every day.
Yeah.
I get every morning I log in before I get out of bed and I see what my tasks are. I make myself a task team, and then I shower, get ready for work, whatever I got to do. And then whenever I can have a chance, I open up my phone and I work on my tasks with that task team. I'm loving Mercenaries. It is by far probably my favorite mode next to Standard.
Okay.
And I'm really excited for these changes.
Nice. So let's look at them. So the Training Grounds, which had previously been announced as the Training Hall, has finally come to Mercenaries. The Training Grounds is a new space for your village that allows your mercenaries to passively gain experience as you do bounties with your other mercs, play other game modes, or even while you sleep.
Yes.
Just enter the Training Grounds, select a mercenary you want to train, and leave them there for as long as you want. Check in on them periodically to claim their accrued experience and see how they're doing, or pull them out when you think you're ready to join. Start joining in on your adventures. So this is very similar to a thing that we've seen. Again, we've compared Mercenaries to all the other style games, and Raid Shadow Legends has a thing called the Guardian Ring, where you put a character in and just leave them, and they gain experience over time. You don't ever actually have to take them into combat until they reach a certain level and you're ready to take them. This is basically the exact same thing.
Now, you've been playing a lot of Raid Shadow Legends lately.
Surprisingly, I
have. Comparing Mercenaries to Raid Shadow Legends is kind of fresh in your mind. Is it similar? Do you get a similar type of feeling from it? Is there a lot more that Mercenaries needs to do to kind of, fill in those fun to play gaps that Raid Shadow Legends has been hitting for you?
Yes.
Okay.
Yes.
Is this a step in that direction?
No.
No?
No. I don't think this feature is that big of a deal.
Okay.
I really don't. I think this is minor in the grand scheme of things. This is for people who don't play Mercenaries a lot and aren't regularly leveling up their mercenaries. So, like, let's say you haven't played Mercenaries since mid-December, and the new mercenaries that just came out, like Valera, you've not played yet. You can drop Valera in the Training Grounds, log out, go do whatever you were doing when you weren't playing Mercenaries, and come back, and she'll be leveled up. And you click OK, and boom, now she starts training in level 2. And then you come back and click, OK, and she starts training on level 3. And you can do that and train her all the way up without ever having to run a bounty. And
Cool.
That's basically the same thing with the Guardian Ring. If you have a character that you want to level up in Raid, you don't want to play with them, you put them in there, forget about them, and every so often you'll get a notification that says, hey, don't forget to accept their current level so they can start training the next level. What I think Mercenaries needs to be on par with something like Raid, as far as as far as variable fun. So like bounties are like campaigns in Raid.
Okay.
You go in, you do it, you're done. You get a reward at the end. That's it. Raid has other modes like dungeons. Dungeon runs allow you to earn items that allow you to modify your heroes in other ways down certain pre-built skill trees. So you could have two characters that are the exact same character that are built different ways, and which you can't have two of the same character in Mercenaries. So I don't know how that would translate over, but I feel like Mercenaries gets a little redundant because you're just running the same bounties over and over and over and over, and it just eventually just like, okay, why am I still doing this, and why am I still doing the same bounties? It needs something else to kind of help keep it fresh.
And I think I agree with you there. Again, I like repetitiveness and redundancy. I'm really weird that way. I like making the perfect team to do the same thing over and over and over and over again. Mm-hmm. I do that in Marvel Strike Force all the time. If there's a specific raid node I'm having trouble with, I find the perfect team, I build that team up, and then I never have to worry about it again because I just copy paste. I just do the same actions over and over again. I'm going to win every single time. To me, I like that stuff. But I think we need some more variability. I want to be able to have a Valera versus a Valera, and other than just their equipments, maybe something else makes them different that maybe has the edge depending on my team comp. Again, that's PvP. I like the PvP aspect. Now, the training grounds is going to cost 100 gold to create, which gives you 1 slot for training, and then 200 gold to upgrade to a total of 2 training slots to train 2 characters.
Which is awesome.
I think that's awesome. So I currently have all my characters of 30, so I'm not going to have any characters to put in here. However,
see, this, like I said, this feature doesn't do anything for you.
It does. So there are 5 new characters coming out at launch.
This feature doesn't do anything for you right now.
Yeah.
As they release new characters.
When a new character comes out with 5, it's really difficult to level all 5, because usually what you want to do is you want to take 3 new characters that are level 1, put them with 3 level 30 characters you have maxed out, and kind of just carry them to start out with. And I've got to do that multiple times, rotating them in and out.
Let me ask you, like you talk about that exact scenario, because you're going to be earning experience 10 times faster doing that than you are in the training grounds.
Of course.
If training grounds works the way I suspect it's going to work, you're going to put a character in there, and it's going to say, come back in 30 minutes and click the button to ascend to level 2. How many levels can you get a character in 30 minutes by running them with your other characters?
But my point is I can take 3 of the new characters, run them with 3 more, and then there's 2 more characters that are new. I put them in the training grounds.
Yeah.
And then by the time I get those other 3 up to like a good
level 15 where you unlock their third ability.
Yeah. Then I put
these other characters are probably going to be at like level 3 or 4.
Then I could put them in the training grounds, or 2 of them, and then rotate in the 2 that were in the training grounds into my team. And it'll kind of speed that up a little bit. Mm-hmm. Again, I think this feature is for people a little less active like you, and not so much for people like me. But I will be able to get a little benefit from new release characters.
Well, let's talk about some new release characters. So first up, we have Belinda Stonehearth. So she is a legendary fighter of all things. Which,
yeah, that's weird.
Belinda is a mage character, so you would think she's going to be a caster.
You would think so. But they did make the Sky Admiral a caster when they attack a lot.
Yeah,
so
yeah.
They are trying to change up the roles a little bit here and there.
So Belinda is a 1073 at maxed stats.
That's pretty high attack.
Yeah, and her abilities are Flame Dart, which at 5 has a 3 speed, deal 10 damage, and do plus 3 frost weakness. Do we know how frost weakness works?
Yes, so it gives that target plus 3 frost weakness, which means whenever they're hit by a frost effect, they'll do 3 extra damage.
Okay, so her next ability, that was Flame Dart. Flame Dart gives frost weakness. And then her next ability is Frost Dart, which is 5, speed 4, deal 12 damage, give plus 3 fire weakness.
Yeah, this is interesting because the fire effect gives frost weakness, and the frost effect gives fire weakness, which means
you alternate these abilities.
You can alternate them, and it will go good in a fire comp, and it will go good in a frost comp, but maybe there's a hybrid frost fire comp that you run her alongside a fire, maybe like a
Ragnaros and a Jaina. Yeah.
And then a Jaina or something like that. So so you get the slowing effects as well as the extra damage from fire.
Right.
This is cool. I like that. I like when characters can be put in multiple teams, and this looks like she could be in like 3 different teams.
Yeah.
Maybe 4 in a human comp team.
Right. So then her level 15 ability is called Frostburn. It's speed 7 with a cooldown of 1 turn. Deal 11 damage to all enemies. Either gain plus 3 frost damage or plus 3 fire damage.
Yeah, I don't know if this is going to be like a pop-up you choose or if it's random or what. But yeah, I mean, good. If you could choose it, it's great because then she can go in a dedicated frost spec or a dedicated fire spec.
Yeah, and then let's talk about her equipment. So first piece, I guess the level 2 or the rank 2 is Lesser Fire Elemental. Battle Cry, summon a 10/15 Lesser Fire Elemental that applies plus 3 fire weakness to characters it damages.
That's cool.
The next one is Lesser Water Elemental. Battle Cry, summon a 10/15 Lesser Water Elemental that freezes characters it damages. So I want to point out there that the Fire Elemental applies fire weakness. The Water Elemental just freezes. It does not apply frost weakness.
Yeah, which is kind of what... the frost spec's less about damage and more about slowing and freezing, where the fire is just about damage.
Yeah. And then her third piece of equipment is Stormpike's Salvation. It is a passive. At the end of each turn, give all your characters plus 5 health.
I'm kind of curious if this is including your bench characters.
Ooh.
Because it says all your characters.
Yeah, that's an interesting thought.
But it's probably just the ones on the board. But if it also includes the bench, this might be a better cookie.
Okay.
A cookie you actually play with instead of just keep on the bench.
Right.
So a passive at the end of each turn. I mean, this in a human comp, this would be great because you're also getting the extra health on Anduin because of healing. I mean, the human comp's all about just scaling the health higher than the damage your opponents can do.
Right.
And so it's like one equipment's for a frost comp, one equipment is for a fire comp, and the other equipment's for like a human comp that might actually have aspects of frost or fire in it, whether you want to have Antonitis on the team or you want Jaina on the team. So I really I think she is definitely a legendary character.
Mm-hmm. I'm excited. Definitely could agree with that. All right, next up, we have Captain Galvanger. Is an epic fighter. Is an orc with 1171 maxed stats.
I would like to see a little more health, but the attack's good.
Abilities include Rending Cleave, which is a 5 speed. Attack an enemy. If it has not acted this turn, apply bleed 8 to it and adjacent enemies.
Wow, that's pretty good. And if you pair him up with somebody like Cairn to make this go even faster, that's pretty. To a bleed 8 to it and adjacent enemies, that's awesome.
Yeah, and then you've got Fatal Strike, which is a speed 3, deal 8 damage to an enemy. It can't heal for 2 turns.
2 turns? And no cooldown?
Cannot heal for 2 turns and no cooldown.
That's pretty wicked. And it's a deal 8 damage. It's not an attack, so it can go around taunts.
Right. And then the last ability is Frightening Shout. So this is a 6 speed on a cooldown of 1 turn. Deal 10 damage to all enemies. If they have acted, the ability they used gets +3 cooldown.
So this punishes speed comps like Valera comps. Now, mind you, it puts it right back to parity because with Valera, you can reduce the cooldown by like 4.
Right.
But still, this slows down those speed comps, which is, I mean, the only other way we had to deal with that before is to run slow comps, and those were also slow, so it didn't really. It was hard to combat the speed comps. So yeah, you can actually combat speed comps with an orc comp, which is nice.
Yeah. All right, then let's talk about equipment. So first up, they get Fury of the Frost Wolf. So this is a passive. Friendly characters have +5 attack.
That's crazy with Samuro.
Oh gosh. Yeah.
Yeah, Samuro and Rokara in a starting lineup with Galvanger. Yeah.
Then you've got
that's gonna be nuts.
Drekthar's Boon. And this says Fatal Strike also applies bleed 5. So it deals 8 damage.
Heal?
They can't heal for 2 turns, and they get bleed 5.
Wow. I'm liking Galvanger.
Yeah. And then the last piece of equipment is Deafening Howl. So Frightening Shout deals 5 more damage. So it goes from 10 damage to 15 damage to all enemies.
Excellent.
And if they've acted, they get +3 cooldown. So that's he's pretty good.
What comps are getting it? It seems like we're going to see this as we go on. It's like some of the teams that just need one more character are getting them.
Yeah.
Because orcs have a lot of options, but it's usually 2 different directions. And now this kind of fills that gap for either of the orc teams.
Mm-hmm. All right, moving on. We get Raytheon. So for those of you who know the character, Raytheon is a black dragon in human form. So here, Raytheon is listed as a human. He is a 1273 at maxed stats.
I like that.
His abilities are Creeping Madness. Now, this is a fail ability with an 8 speed. Attack an enemy. Next turn, they must use a different ability or take 20 damage.
So they can still use the ability, but they'll take 20 damage. And since it is, I think it's going to be tagged as the fighter damage. So if it is to a caster,
they'll take 40.
They take 40.
Yeah.
That's a lot of damage if they want to. I mean, you can keep them from slowing you down if you hit Varden.
Right.
This. Or Varden just blows up.
Yeah. Second ability is Tail Swipe. So this is a shadow ability, and it's a 6 speed. Deal 20 damage randomly to the left or rightmost enemy.
Yeah, I'm not sure I like the randomness of this. It's almost like you want to use this when there's only one character left so you can target it. Because there's a lot of... With mercenaries, you want to know where the damage is going.
Mm-hmm.
Whenever you're with Valera and you have two characters with the same health, it really messes you up because you're kind of coin flipping which one it's going to hit. So I'm not sure about this ability. We'll have to see in practice.
And then the final ability is called True Form. So this is a 3-speed on a cooldown of 2 turns, and it says Become a Dragon. Gain +0 health. Health increased by damage dealt by this merc. So the more damage it does,
the more health you're going to get.
Correct. And then the third ability transforms into an ability called Fell Rain. So this is a fell spell with an 8 speed on a cooldown of 1 turn. And it says deal 3 damage to all enemies. Repeat 4 times. And it starts off cooldown.
Wow. And it's fell damage.
Yeah.
Do we have anything that currently adds fell damage? Is it
Gul'dan?
Does Gul'dan add plus fell damage? I know he has fell damage. I'm not sure if he adds
I don't know.
I'd have to look that up. But there's not really any fell comps. But I mean that's 12 damage in increments across the board.
Yeah. Yeah, it is. So let's talk about equipment for Raytheon. First up, you have Chimera of Fear. Creeping Madness makes the enemy 4 speed slower. So if they, next turn they have to use a different ability or take 20 damage and they're 4 speed slower. Then you've got Black Dragon Scales. Tail Swipe also applies Bleed 5. So now
I'm loving Bleed.
Now it's 20 damage randomly left or right and Bleed 5.
I like that they're utilizing Bleed on more characters than just, Cookie for the most part.
Yeah. And then you've got the Horn of Raytheon, which says True Form no longer has a cooldown and also grants +6 attack.
This is the one you want for your dragon comps.
Yes.
Because you turn one, you turn him into a dragon, and now he synergizes with all of your dragons. And any new dragons we're going to get, which we'll talk about later.
Yeah.
Dragon comp is one of those comps. It's like Alex Strauss is so good, but it needs something else.
One more, and here's Raytheon.
Probably 2 more, but you need some more dragon synergies, and I think dragons could be great. And Brightwing's not a great dragon. You just put Brightwing in that team because you want the dragon synergies. Now you could probably not have Brightwing or use Brightwing in a different way. Dragons are getting some love.
Yep.
And I love Raytheon. Right? I think he could have probably been a legendary, based on some of his effects, but I think he's kind of a niche character, so maybe being epic is perfect.
Okay, next up, we have Lok Halar. So this is a rare protector.
The only protector that's coming in this update.
Correct. He is an
no
elemental.
Casters, by the way.
Yeah, he is an elemental with 982 maxed stats. Okay. And he has the ability Hailstorm, which is a 5-speed frost spell. Deal 3 damage to a random enemy. Repeat 5 times.
Wow. So it can hit a different enemy each time.
Correct.
Okay.
Then the second ability is Frost Shock. And it's also a frost spell with a speed 9. Deal 10 damage to an enemy. Their next ability gives them +5 frost weakness for that turn.
Okay, so this is where what you're hitting is important, because their next ability gives them +5 frost weakness for that turn. If they use a slow ability, then they won't get that weakness till the end of the turn. But if they're using a fast ability, if you want to target somebody that you know has like a 0 cost that they want to use next turn, like a taunt or something, because the minute they use that, the rest of that turn they have the +5 frost weakness and are just going to get blown up. So this punishes fast comps as well. So it's kind of interesting, because that's kind of a little bit of anti-synergy. From Frost usually wants to slow things, but now you're gonna be able to put him in here where you're slowing things and also punishing fast things, which usually Frost can't do both. They're just slowing things. They're not punishing things that are fast.
Right.
They're just slowing them. So this is pretty neat. Plus, I think it's the only Frost synergy protector we have.
Yeah. And then let's talk about the last ability. Snowball. Deal 10 damage. Damage increases +5 every time another frost ability is cast. Resets after use. Now, this is a 7 speed with a cooldown 1.
So it's deal 10 damage, but every time a frost ability is cast, that damage is going up +5.
Correct.
Even when you don't use this ability.
Correct, but
so
as soon as you
up.
cast Snowball, it resets down to 10 damage.
Yeah, but this is your big blow something out of the water. So the first turn you're going to play a bunch of frost stuff. It's probably going to go up by 15 damage. Because 5 for 3 different times. And then it's also speed 7, so if things are faster in that turn, it's also going to be going up.
Right.
So this is on turn 2. You could just nuke a fighter. It's also targeted damage, not an attack, so it goes around taunts. So if you have a fighter that goes off big on turn 2, blow them out of the water with this.
Yeah. Let's talk about Locolar's equipment. So first up, you have Icy Focus. Hellstorm repeats 4 additional times.
That's 3 damage 9 times. That's 27 damage without frost damage increase.
Correct.
Wow, that's nuts.
And then
on
you've
a
got
5 speed?
Yeah, on a 5 speed.
That's pretty fast for that much damage.
Then you've got Frigid Winds. Frigid Winds, it's passive. After an enemy acts, gain +4 frost damage until the end of the turn.
Against a fast comp,
yeah,
all your other characters are doing an extra +4 frost damage as well. That's a nice equipment.
Yeah, it is. And then the last piece of equipment is Shroud of the Ice Lord. Again, this is a passive. Friendly elementals have +20 health.
That's pretty good. I think all your other elementals are fire.
So you got Ragnaros and Baron Geddon.
Is that it?
I think that might be it, except for the summoned ones that like from Jaina and and Belinda.
The new one.
Yeah,
Belinda. So you could use this in a frost comp, to benefit those summons, but honestly, you're only going to use this in a elemental comp for the most part, and all your abilities don't have synergy with those elementals. So,
right.
Yeah, I don't think that's a priority one. In my opinion, it's probably the first one you get at level 30, most likely. But all in all, other than that one equipment, this is a strong protector, and it's a rare, so you're going to be able to get the coins easier for this one.
Yeah, Yeah. All right. Last but not least, we are getting Sinestra, who is a rare fighter, and Sinestra is a dragon.
It sounds like a Disney dragon.
Yeah, right.
It sounds like a Disney name. It really does.
So Sinestra is a 1375 at maxed stats.
Really good stats.
Yeah. And abilities include Racking Swipe. So it's a speed 6. Attack an enemy. If you control another dragon, apply bleed 10.
That's 20 bleed damage to a caster.
Yeah.
Again, it's an attack, so it has to get past a taunt. But dang, that's crazy.
Yeah. And second ability is Mana Barrier, which is speed 2, cooldown 1, restore 50 health to a dragon. Its next ability is 3 speed slower. So you're gaining 50 health, but you're slowing the next attack of that minion.
And there's not a lot of ways to speed up a dragon in a dragon comp, other than, outside dragon comp stuff like Karen and stuff. So you're just kind of accepting that you're going to be slow.
Yeah.
Which a lot of these new characters are punishing fast comps, so it may actually be a beneficial thing.
Yeah. And the last ability for Sinestra is Twilight's Extinction. So this is a speed 5 with a 1-turn cooldown. Restore 20 health to this merc. At the end of next turn, deal 30 damage to all enemies.
What? That's sick.
Yeah, restore 20 health to this merc. At the end of the next turn, deal 30 damage to all enemies. So this turn, you're healing for 20. Next turn, at the end of that round, if Sinestra's still alive, boom, 30 damage to all enemies.
On top of whatever else Sinestra does that turn.
Correct.
I mean, I would love to pair her up with Cornelius, where Cornelius makes it so she don't take damage and he takes any damage she takes, and just blows the other side out of the board. So you heal her up and make sure she don't die, and then the next turn you use Cornelius' ability to make sure she can't die.
Yeah.
And then the whole board, oh my gosh.
Just goes boom. All right, let's talk about her equipment real quick. First up, you've got Hooked Talons. Racking Swap applies an additional 5 bleed. So it takes it to 15 bleed on a 6-speed attack. Then you've got Mana Brooch, which says Mana Barrier restores 10 more health and reduces damage taken by 5 this turn. So it heals 60 health instead of...
So it heals 60 health and reduces 5 damage, but still 3 speed.
Still 3 speed slower. And then Shard of Woe is the final piece of equipment, and it's Twilight Extinction restores 20 more health and deals 10 more damage. So it goes to healing yourself for 40 and dealing 40 next turn, but it adds +1 cooldown.
So basically you use Shard of Woe when you plan to use Sinestra off the bench as a finisher.
Yes.
So right now, a lot of people are using Sylvanas on the bench as a finisher. She comes in, she uses her ability, gets a bunch of attack, and if they kill her, she can just about wipe an entire board. But usually it causes draws, not wins.
Mm-hmm.
So maybe this is where you bring in Sinestra off the bench. Her cooldowns are up because it's a 2 cooldown.
Right.
And she just unloads on the board. Now, you may not have Cornelius available. There may be other factors that keep that from happening. But it could be a bench character that allows you to wipe out an entire board and finish off a game instead of it's a comeback character.
Yeah, it's kind of a panic button.
Kinda. Man, I really like this. Also, think about this. There are with who is it? Is it Brightwing? Will heal and swap with the character on your bench, and if you swap in the middle of a fight with Sinestra, and maybe that's what you need in the middle of a fight to offset things, and then Sinestra can blow up the board the next turn. Man.
Yeah.
I think I'm most excited for Sinestra. And then
Galvanger.
And then probably after that is Belinda.
Okay.
Followed by Raytheon, and then Galvanger and Locolar.
Wow, you were talking about how excited you were for Galvanger.
Really high for Galvanger, but then I read Raytheon, and then I read Sinestra, and I've been wanting dragons to be a thing for so long.
Okay, calm down, Kibbler.
I'm telling you, it's because Alex Straza has such good potential if you could consistently have a dragon on the board.
Yeah.
And all they got to do is nuke down your Brightwing, and also one of Brightwing's best healing takes her off the board anyways. So it's like, you just left me.
Yeah. And
now we have a reliable dragon and another character that has dragon synergy, that if with one equipment, all of a sudden they can be a dragon on turn one.
Right.
It's great.
Yeah. So let's talk about a big change that's coming with these new heroes, or with these new mercenaries.
Yes, this is huge.
So in the past, you've had to complete tasks up to a certain point to unlock their last piece of equipment. So for the 5 new mercenaries introduced with this patch, their third equipment will now be earned by completing a specific heroic bounty while that mercenary is in your party. The heroic bounty needed for each mercenary will be listed under the equipment's unlock criteria. This change will not be retroactive, but our current plan is to use the new system for all upcoming mercenaries in future patches. We will monitor how the new system ends up working in the patch and make adjustments if needed.
So, my first statement on this is a good change that will benefit the most people. It will not benefit me.
Yes, because you have grinded out every piece of equipment for every hero, or for every mercenary.
And I'm set up to the point that I can grind future tasks with little work. It may not take me. I may not be able to target one, but it won't be too hard. However, this one requires a specific bounty done on heroic. I haven't finished all the heroics yet. Finished all, but I think there's 6 heroics I haven't done yet.
Mm-hmm.
They're difficult, and if they add it to these new bounties, which we'll talk about in a second, if they're the ones we have to do on heroic, a lot of times you have to have a specific team,
right,
to not only go up that whole bounty but finish off the bounty boss. And if that bounty has to include that specific character, it might not be perfect.
Yeah.
So unless they're going to be tuning those bosses for that specific character and their task, it might be harder to get that one equipment than it was just to do 7 tasks.
Right.
For somebody who plays at my frequency and my level. Now, somebody else who can just focus on one character, get him up, and then do that one bounty, it might be easier for them.
Mm-hmm.
But again, those bounties, a lot of times you have to have a full team of 6 maxed out characters for some of those heroic bounties that are level 30.
Right.
Now, if they decide to assign these to lower level heroic bounties, which I doubt they're going to do, then I could possibly understand it. They're most likely going to assign. You have 5 new characters, and we're going to be getting 6 new bounties. So it's probably a different one per. And then the big boss one usually has multiple characters from the new pool for coins. That's where you would go to get the most out of those new characters for coins. So probably the first 5 are going to be the 5 different characters. And if that's the case, it's going to be difficult to get that bounty, get that equipment. For somebody in my level, I don't think this is a positive change. But for the majority of the players that play Mercs, I think this is going to be beneficial.
Okay, well, let's talk about the new bounties. So, a new zone is coming to the mercenaries. That is...
Finally.
Alterac Valley. Who knew?
Yay!
So, the battle for Alterac Valley has spilled over into mercenaries, bringing with it 6 new bounties. And those bounties are Ravak Grim Totem, Louis Phillips, Captain Galvanger, Popsicooler, Drekthar, and Lok Halar the Ice Lord.
So I like that they're actually including some of the mercenaries that we're getting as bosses.
Yeah.
So
yeah.
Captain Galvanger, Drekthar, Locolar, those are all new characters coming. So that's kind of cool. It's like we're eventually getting them on our side.
Right.
Now it says dodge Stormpike bullets and Frostwolf fangs on this mammoth hunt for those sweet, sweet prizes. I like that they're adding a new zone because Blackrock Mountain is just it's full. Blackrock Mountain's about to burst. It's got so much in it. So this probably means Alterac Valley is getting six new. The second page will be the next 6 for whatever patch comes after mini set. That'll include some new mercs. And then a new set will come out. And then we'll get a new zone. Maybe each new set has a new zone. That would be cool. I hope that's the way they're going to do it. I'm excited for all this merch stuff. Now, the next update's Duels Updates. There's a lot here.
Mm-hmm.
We're not really going to go over the Duels stuff because there's a lot of Duels-specific sources.
Yeah, let's just touch on the high points. January 25th, the current Duels season will end, and a rankings reset will happen just like in Battlegrounds, and the new season will begin. So there will be Duels achievements are being updated to be hero-specific instead of class-specific. And various in-game text will be updated to mention heroes instead of classes.
It's going to be very important.
Yeah. There are some new card buckets that'll be added to support the some new heroes. And the new Pool 2 treasure offerings will be more synergistic with your decks, which is good because there's been some times, like especially I think the last time you and I did Duels on the show, it felt like the treasure offerings were not synergistic at all.
Yeah, but there's going to be a lot more reason for that with the new heroes that we're going to be getting.
Yeah, so
let's talk about the new heroes.
Yeah. So we're getting Drekthar, and Drekthar has 3 new hero powers that you can unlock as you play. War Master's Frenzy costs 2. Deal 1 damage to all minions. Honorable Kill. Gain +1 attack this turn. The next one is Harness the Elements. Says cost 1, even though the picture shows 2. It says draw a spell, reduce its cost by 1. Unlock criteria. To unlock this hero power, you have to play 40 spells that cost 3 or more. And then the third hero power is called War Commands. It costs 2. It says draw a neutral minion that costs 3 or less, and it's free this turn, so it costs 0 this turn. And to unlock that one, you have to play 60 neutral minions that cost 3 or less.
Yes. So then there's... This is where it gets weird. And we didn't talk about the first point, and I'm going to after we talk about Vandar. He has six new treasures, and you'll notice they're from different classes, and then eventually neutral. The 5 classes that they're from are from the 5 different classes represented by the Horde in Alterac Valley.
Yeah,
the same things for Vandar.
Yeah, Warrior, Shaman, Warlock, Mage, and Druid for...
Yes. And then finally, a neutral.
Called For the Horde.
For the Horde. And then Vandar is the same way. Now, the reason for this is the new heroes. The battle for Alterac Valley rages on with Vandar Stormpike and Drekthar joining duels. They will be Hearthstone's first neutral heroes, with special treasures that allow them to ally with one of the classes in their faction. If they ally with one of their faction's classes, they will be changed from neutral to allied class for deck building and throughout the run. So if you choose your warrior treasure, you're going to be building a warrior deck. Each also has one signature treasure that keeps them neutral for the run, but gives them a taste of all their factions' classes. So if you choose the neutral option, it sounds like you'll only be able to build a deck of all neutral cards.
That's interesting.
We've never seen this before in Hearthstone.
Yeah. Yeah. Oh, that makes me want to try it even more.
I know. That's why I said we're probably going to just touch on some of these changes. We're not going to go in depth.
Yeah.
Vandar has a bunch of very similar hero powers, and because we're probably going to take a week to enjoy these and do the play mode with duels, and at that time we'll go into more depth.
Right.
And then there's lots of changes and balance changes. This has almost as much duels content as it does Battlegrounds content, which I'm really excited for.
Yep. I think the other big thing you have to talk about here in duels is that Diablo has been removed from the player pool. Diablo has been defeated.
That makes me sad because I don't know. I would like to be more permanent. The fact that you have to unlock stuff from him, I want him to be around longer.
Yeah.
But that's just me. I like Diablo and Duel. I realize why you need to take him out of Battlegrounds, but I think he could have stayed in Duels. So then we have a special Tavern Brawl, Tavish versus Rokara. Edwin Van Cleef has defeated the Deadmines, but agents of Lady Prestor have taken the shards of Nauru to Alterac Valley, where Kazakus awaits. The Alliance and the Horde mercenaries face off for the right to retrieve the shards. In this special Tavern Brawl, you play as Tavish or Rokara and select one of your mercenary companions to join you as your hero power. Each combination has unique dialogue interactions that tell more of the mercenary's story. Try them all with this. Tavern Brawl launches on January 26th. Your prize for the first win of Tavern Brawl will be a standard pack, which can include cards from any of the standard sets. I don't play a lot of Tavern Brawl because it's gotten repetitive and stale. I will probably play this at least once.
This is the most excited I've been for a Tavern Brawl in a long time.
This seems fun because you're going to have unique dialogue. It's going to tell a story. I'm going to want to play it more than once.
Yes. Yeah,
this is
absolutely.
Cool. And I like that it's happening on the same day as a patch to give you kind of a day to enjoy the episode.
So then we are getting the next book of mercenaries, and it is none other than Hunter Tavish Stormpike.
Because we've already gotten Rokara.
Correct.
Now, is this our last one?
I think it is.
We did Cariel in. I think it might be the last
I
one.
think this is the last
Unless I'm
one.
missing somebody. And we started. The first one was Rokara, if I'm not
First
mistaken.
one was Rokara, way back. God, a year ago.
Yeah, yeah.
So yeah, defeating all 8 bosses in this adventure will reward 1 hunter pack containing hunter standard cards.
And it comes out February 1st.
Correct. All right.
And then we have the Lunar New Year celebration starting on the 25th.
Yeah.
And the Dancing Lion card back is going to be available free in the shop on the 25th. So check your shop on the 25th when the patch hits. That's pretty.
Yeah, I love this. I love this card back. So
yeah, I like it.
All right, and really then as always, we have various bug fixes and game improvements. We'll have a link to the patch notes in our show notes if you guys want to dig into those and check those out.
Yeah, so there's a lot of this patch. If there's anything we didn't talk about you want us to talk about, please send us a tweet at HeroPower_cast or a comment below if you're watching on YouTube. We will not be here next week due to the wedding that Avanties is going to be attending. But the following week we'll come back. We will probably play some Battlegrounds, and then depending, or maybe Duels. We'll have to see what is impacting us the most at that time. And then I'm really excited for this patch. It's gonna be a lot of fun.
Yeah, me too. So, all right, gang, that's, I believe, going to do it for us this week. If you have any questions or comments about the show, feel free to email us at heropowerpodcast@gmail.com. Hit that subscribe button below on YouTube if you've not done so already. And if you are interested in more details about our patron-only Discord, head on over to patreon.com/heropower. And we'll see you all again next week.
And don't forget to use your neutral hero power. Is that going to be a thing?
That could be a thing.
Wow, interesting.